national designated authorities, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see you all together here today at the COP. This is the very first time since we launched, where is Seni? Seni is here. This is a guy that we have been working together during years, to get this readiness approved, And I guess all of you knows, Ambassador Seni Nafo, from Mali, and now driving AI, but he will talk about that a bit later, So we have been working during years, and with this lady too, Sandra. Everybody knows Sandra, from SSA, to develop this readiness. And for the very first time, I know that you have, in different, let's say, arenas, you had the opportunity to catch up. But this is really the very first time that I try to bring together, let's say, the different countries that are involved, in this readiness. Why? Because we are now more or less 6 months before the end of the very first phase of this readiness. Just as a kind reminder, readiness aims at developing or reinforcing the resilience of agriculture in Africa, totally related or implementing or supporting the implementation of AI, African Adaptation Initiative, and the objective of this very first phase was, first of all, to align, policy, risk, governance, everything, plus identifying a portfolio of 10 projects per country. Second, to finance those 10 projects. This is phase 2. And last but not least, based on lesson learned, to upscale the financing through special vehicles, specific vehicles, upscale, the capacity and the resilience of African agriculture. Now we are close to the end of the first phase. Hi, everyone. We are close to the first phase, and this is the reason why it was the right timing. First of all, to have a meeting to exchange about best practice. First of all, to understand where do we stand, in the different countries. We have a slide about that. And second, to let's say to exchange best practice, to make to have a stock take, about what Sandra is doing about, the trainings and this modeling tool to analyze the risk and the impact of those risks, on sustainable agriculture. And last but not least, to give you a sense about where do we stand with the list of projects we have already identified, not to go through that list because the projects are not already selected, but to tell you that I don't want to wait phase 2 to start the financing of those projects. I would like to start as fast as possible. And I can tell you that we have already one country where one project is, I'm already tracking the financing. So I would like really to start phase 2 by saying to the GCF, the ball is already running and we have already financed some projects. So help us to go to upscale, and to finance the 200 or 220 projects that we'll get. This is really the objective. So more or less, we wanted to make two sides event. At the end of the day, we have considered that it was a bit, it was not making sense, and we'll make one single, because we are all concerned by the same topic, and we'll try to make it in 2 hours, because I know that everybody is rushing, in this car. So I will start to talk, and before starting the panel, I will have the great chance and honor and pleasure to welcome Ambassador Seni Nafo, that will give us a sort of keynote address to talk about AI, and because he's more or less he's a peer, of this initiative. So I would like to have him, introducing, this panel. So Seni, floor is yours, and we'll be more than happy if you can, energize us.
Thank you, Patrice, and good afternoon, everyone. I think you can applaud yourself. The Pan-African Climate Finance Readiness Program is the most ambitious, is the largest climate finance readiness program in the world, period. I think it's 23 countries strong. We've received interest from additional countries, and we're thinking as AAI about ways and means to take it forward. It took us, I think, 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think the very first draft of the program was in April 2019. It took 3 years for the GCF to approve the program, sometime in early 2021. And when the program was approved, instead of having a $1 million allocation per country, which would have covered the 3 phases, it just approved phase 1, which is the translation of investment plan into a very initial portfolio. So what we are realizing is that this is too slow. It is too slow. We need to find solutions to accelerate the pace so that we can mobilize investment at scale. This is the instructions we have received from ministers and heads of states. Enough planning, enough concepts. We need to move to implementation. And what we are thinking of, and we will be calling on you very soon, I hope very early next year, as AAI. We are undertaking at least 2 or 3 new programs. One, which is a project preparation facility. We'll be launching a project preparation facility to increase the number of projects at the Adaptation Fund and the Green Climate Fund. We'll launch this early next year. So we will be reaching out to you and see how some of the concept Patrice is working on can be translated into projects. And we're not going to go through the GCF at least to do that initiation. So that's one. Keep that in mind. We'll revert to you on a project preparation facility. Second, we'll be launching a call for proposal for a facility. So what we want to do is to identify in our countries, in your countries, those small and medium enterprise working on food security who are already pioneers and can be turned into champions. The facility, that's a facility, but it's basically an investment fund. And we'll be investing from $250,000 to up to $1 million in those companies. And the idea is really to identify the Teslas of agriculture in your countries, the Microsoft of agriculture and food security, the OpenAI of agriculture and food security, and really accompanying them to mobilize resources, to mobilize capacity, to mobilize technology, so that quickly we can get to we can address food security. So that's second. Third, we'll be working with African youth next year, culminating in a summit in Togo. This is a work in partnership with the PACJA, the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance, where we really want to turn the youth, not just in making advocacy and all of that, but really in driving concrete implementation at the community level. So we'll be also reaching out to you. But more importantly, really, thank you. Thank you for your how would I say, your generosity. This is taking a lot of time. I know that there is a lot of challenges with implementation on the ground. I want to thank Patrice. And I'll give you 2 anecdotes. When we started the program, a number of ministers said, well, Seni, why do you work with EY? EY is not an African institution. We want to work with an African institution. I say, excuse me, Mr. Minister, we didn't find an African institution which was willing to work in 23 countries. None. There was none. The only institution which accepted to work in 23 countries and to work for years in preparing the application was EY. So thanks. That's the first anecdote. You know, just that was one. The second anecdote on EY, talking to ministers, trying to secure. It was the Minister of Agriculture of Côte d'Ivoire. I'm looking if there's people from Côte d'Ivoire here. No, I don't see anyone from Côte d'Ivoire. Minister Sangafoa Koulibaly. We were in Abidjan. He said, "Oh, Seni, you've been talking EY. Is that a Chinese company?" I said, no, Your Excellency, it's not a Chinese company. It's Ernst & Young. Oh, Ernst & Young. Oh, we know Ernst & Young. This is a very serious company. Okay, we'll enter. Because he really thought that anyway. So those are two anecdotes. There are many in so many years, but really thank you. I know how hard it is. I know how much expectation. I was a GCF NDA, and I think I hold the record because I was NDA for 3 weeks, and I had a change of government, and I was fired. So I know how hard the expectation is on you. I know how much everybody feels the NDA has billions and millions, and we will really, reach out to me. I'm here. I'll share my contacts. I'll give you all the kind of support that I can. More importantly, the moral support to go through all the challenges that you're going through. But thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Seni. Thank you so much, Ambassador Nafo. That's true. It has been a big fight, a long run, but we did it, And hopefully, for the next phase, it's going to be faster, This is what all hopes. Okay, so now time to start. Now we have a panel, and let me take my device, otherwise, I'm lost. We have a panel that the idea is really, as I said, to exchange best practice, to see what works, what doesn't work, and we can improve, and how you can learn from each other. How you can learn from each other. This is key, It's really a cross-cutting approach here, So I'm looking for Younes email, not mail, but WhatsApp. I don't know where that's. I don't know why. I cannot get it. Okay, here it is. So for this panel, I will call on the stage, from Togo, Mrs. Mary Yao. She is here. Can you come on the stage, please? We can have big hands for Mrs. Yao. She's the NDA of Togo. Sit down. I'm going to ask to Mr. Dini Omar to join us. He's the NDA of Djibouti. We can have big hands too. And we have Michael Invenso, Director of Energy, Transport and Infrastructure of the National Council of Climate Change in Nigeria. Very welcome to this panel. Thank you we can have big hands, for, the NDAs that has the courage, to come on the stage. So before starting the conversation with those distinguished guests, I would like to start to show you where do we stand, sort of stop take, of the program, So if somebody can put a slide on where is the slide, Younes? Okay, fantastic. So, 1, 2, 3. One more. Back, please. Is it this one? Please, could you back? Which one?
Ça va, il est en train de revenir à la première page.
Is it the right one?
This is the only file we received.
Okay, very good. So, just to tell you, here you have the big picture of this AI program. So more or less you can see the 23 countries, that are represented on the map. I mean, more or less, all is not so bad, because it was the very first time, that the GCF has accepted, to launch a readiness covering 23 countries, It was the largest readiness ever launched, by the GCF. I have to say that when I have accepted Seni offer, to work together, I didn't imagine, at that time, what would be the challenge, to bring together all those 23 countries, but we did it. So if you look at the map, it's not so bad, the result, because we can see that 22 countries, have already engaged, and we are delivering, very well. In orange, we are facing some small challenges, but this is something we'll sort out before the end of the program, for sure. Only one single country, is in red, but for good or bad reason, I would say. It's Sudan, and everybody knows what is the situation of Sudan, and we'll try to sort out the issue. But of course, we are in a very specific situation. For the rest, it goes well. It goes well. We can do better for sure, but it goes well. So let's go to the next slide, please. Oh, it's me. It's me. So here you can see we are talking about the project. So let's make it later. I don't want to talk about that now. So everything goes more or less very well. We have some orange spot, but it's not a big deal. This is something we know how to sort out. But at the end of the day, what we like to do now is really, because we took some countries where NDAs, have delivered, are very well advanced, in the implementation of this program, For those reasons, we wanted to get a feedback, from those NDA and to have an exchange with you, with the room. It's going to be a ping-pong discussion between the room, and our panelists. So let's start maybe by, yes, I would love to start by Togo, just because you're next door, from here, No, not on the screen, but your pavilion is just next door, No, but no, more seriously. So, Mrs. Yao, Togo is one of the front runners, so it means that you have delivered, the gap analysis. We have delivered, you did already the first training with SSA, about, this modeling tool. We have already, let's say, the portfolio of project, not already selected, but at least, we have identified the project. And so we are close now to go for the last mile. So can you tell us, how what is the secret, of this, let's say, good performance? How you manage it, I mean, we all know that we provided a local expert, but I mean, it's not enough, of course, and there are good reasons, behind this, let's say, positive outcome. So could you tell us, how you achieve, this positive move forward?
Okay, thank you so much for involving us at the event. First of all, I would like to thank EY for the support in terms of implementation of the readiness. And thanks also SSR, and particularly Ms. Sandra, for leadership and dynamism, which help us to advance other countries, because we were at the late stage. But because of the close support of Ms. Sandra, we launched our readiness, or the implementation of the readiness, in May. And now we already conduct the training workshop, and also collect projects. And we collect, I think, 41 projects and submit it. And now, in terms of perspective, we are waiting for the assessment and the selection of the pilot project, and even the second phase of the training and the closing meeting. I think because of this support, now we are at the advanced stage in terms of implementation of the readiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Yao. I mean, she is very powerful, and she is very humble, so we can have big hands for Mrs. Yao. So now let's go to Mr. Omardini, the NDA of Djibouti. I don't know if all of you have ever been, to Djibouti, but Djibouti, when you arrive to Djibouti, when you get out, from the plane, it's like, having a sort of, massive heat, getting on your shoulders, because it's so warm. This is really the first, souvenir I have when I visited, you in Djibouti. And I think I didn't get out from the hotel or the airport. I did hotel, airport, hotel. This is what I did. It was too warm outside. But more seriously, we have been working together, very well. To speak frankly, we had an incredible, working session with a very active participation of all stakeholders, and I think it's one of the secrets, we have to really keep in mind. The more that you involve your, let's say, the ecosystem, in the country, the highest is the performance, because otherwise, it's you have the feeling to go faster, because I mean you do by your own, But then, if you don't have the troops behind you to support and to implement, of course, it will be useless, And I think one of the things we notice with Mr. Omardini, this capacity of mobilizing, the ecosystem and all players, the different ministries at local level, and also, let's say, the professionals, farmers, and all industries, even, UN agencies, that are participating, to this agriculture domain, it was absolutely needed. But I give you the floor, Mr. Dini.
Bonjour tout le monde. Je voudrais parler en français parce que je ne maîtrise pas bien la langue de Shakespeare et je m'en excuse. Je voudrais d'abord dire que je suis content de revoir l'ambassadeur Safo, le premier qui m'a contacté pour ce programme. Je voudrais aussi remercier IU pour avoir...
EY, c'est mieux.
EY,
c'est autre chose.
EU, c'est autre chose. EY pour avoir retenu Djibouti parmi les pays africains qui vont bénéficier de ce programme Readiness. Et nous avons suivi les différentes étapes du programme Readiness. Nous avons d'abord fait un atelier de lancement. Ensuite, nous avons fait un atelier de consultation avec les parties prenantes. Et M. Patrice Lefeu était à Djibouti à l'occasion de cet atelier. Et nous avons donc contacté la plupart des parties prenantes concernées. Nous les avons consultées. Ensuite, nous avons lancé un appel au projet qu'on a envoyé à 300 personnes. On n'a pas eu autant de retours de projets qu'on aurait souhaité. On n'a eu que 14 projets parmi les centaines qu'on avait sollicités. Ce faible nombre peut s'expliquer par plusieurs facteurs. D'abord, Djibouti, c'est un petit pays, ce n'est pas un grand pays avec des millions de personnes. Hein. Donc, si le Togo a 40, Djibouti peut avoir 14, compte tenu de la taille du pays, mais aussi parce qu'il y a une faible capacité des partenaires à préparer les projets d'agriculture qui soient résilients au changement climatique. Et donc nous sommes maintenant dans la phase nous avons clôturé la phase de collecte des projets. Nous allons bientôt commencer la phase de priorisation des projets. Et on espère que parmi ces projets, quelques projets seront soumis au financement, pour le financement au fonds vert. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, cher Omar, Monsieur Dini. Moi, je dois avouer que quand... sorry, I will go back in English now. So I have to say that when I arrived, in Djibouti, we had this workshop, and I think I will make please, some people, in the room, because I have to say that even if it was not a very large audience, I had in a room at least 5 ladies that were so active, in the workshop. And I can tell you that those 5 ladies, if you remember, they brought so relevant topics, to move forward and to structure, something together, And so maybe one of the key success factors, if you would like to succeed, in the implementation of this program, is to bring more ladies around the table, because they are very effective, in implementing, this kind of program. So it was one of the, but I'm serious when I'm saying that. It's not just a joke. The second thing is, Djibouti is a very, of course, all countries are specific, but Djibouti is a very specific situation. Why? Because you do not have a sort of agricultural sector that is very well structured. The large majority of exploitation are, produced by, individuals, family, that are producing their own, let's say, production for just to feed the family, and they are selling just the extra production, they don't need for the family, And it means that you do not have really, let's say, a structured organization, of agriculture. And for this reason, we decided to work on that, and to see beyond, let's say, a specific, let's say, production or farmers, you know, how we can help Djibouti to really to structure, you know, the agriculture sector, you know. So it's a very specific problematic they are facing, and I think that I wanted to point it out because this is maybe something that you can face, you know, in different countries. But thank you, Mr. Dini. So now we talk to Nigeria, to the Director General, you know, of the administration, and so we leave you the floor, and you will explain us, you know, what are the key success factors, you know, what we are doing. When you arrived, you said you brought a very good news, you know, about the commitment of Nigeria, you know, in this program, and I think people in the audience will be more than happy to learn, you know, what you will be saying. Thank you so much.
Really, thank you very much for having us. And as a new NDA, I am playing catch-up with this project. But it's very gratifying to see that there's an Africa-focused intervention that really speaks to the scale of the problem that addresses our peculiar needs. I was rather inspired by the story shared by Seni about the important reason why we need to expedite finance flows at scale to really address some of these problems. We all agree that climate change is a global conundrum and that we need to accelerate climate action. But the finance flows are not matching that rhetoric. And hearing Patrice say we want to really move fast really gives us a lot of courage and hope. And for that reason, I really want to thank the organizers of this very important intervention, the work being done by the ladies and the gentlemen to really bring us to where we are. For us in Nigeria, we really attribute the successes to the support we've received from you, from EY, and from the team. And we really want to thank you for that. And like I said to Patrice earlier on, one of the most critical success factors is providing support from the highest level. We at the National Council on Climate Change sits right below the Mr. President. And one of the things we've found to be really important is that we provide a coordination of bringing the different sectoral players to the table in terms of decision making, in terms of being able to agree and create consensus on what direction the country should go. Aligning our national priorities and understanding that the framework within which we operate must necessarily be one that really cuts across every sector. And for us, that was one singular factor that really supported our success in helping to move forward. I understand from my colleagues here that the trainings have been done, the scoping has been completed, and now we're really ready to begin implementation. And I want to assure you today, I've been told by my bosses, that part of the commitment we bring to the table is ensuring that that critical success factor for implementation, there's a lot of talk about what we want to do, about what should be done. But where the time really meets the road is in the implementation itself. How to translate these high-level visions, these finance flows to actual interventions on ground that impact on the lives of the people that we serve, the men, the women in the local areas whose lives depend on this intervention, who are the most adversely impacted by climate action. And therefore, that commitment requires a rededication of government resources and support for these disparate problems. So the message I bring to you today is that the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will put its weight behind this project. And we will, as a matter of our participation and our regional partners in both West and Central Africa, will work towards ensuring that this one particular intervention that is Africa-focused really leaves its mark for our people. And the only way to do that is to continue to work together. And I am really quite delighted to listen to my colleagues from Djibouti and Togo, really learning some of these important success factors that are peculiar. Each country's situation is different, and therefore we bring in a fit-for-purpose interaction to the process. But one thing I found, I'm trained as an engineer, so I'm trying to think from first principles. Project Management 101, coordination. That is really important. Every part of government, every part of the civil society that's involved, working together to achieve that common purpose. For us, as we go away from this COP, we're amplifying Africa's voice, the issue of loss and damage, the issue of ability to create and adaptive capacities in our communities to adverse impacts of climate change. Mitigation risk is important, but our most important factor here is adaptation. Adaptation to adverse climate events, adaptation to being able to build resilience in our communities, to support our teeming population, and be able to feed ourselves. And that's really critical. And I see this project really supports that very important high-level vision. And for that reason, I really want to once again thank everybody for this very important intervention. And I congratulate regional partners for the success so far. And pledging, really, that we will continue to amplify our voice to this global conversation, and as well as in the region, to help strengthen the overall outcome for Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. I authorize myself to call you Michael. Thank you so much. No, I think I would like to react on 2 points that you mentioned. The first one is, when we discussed together, you said that your government would be ready, let's say, to de-risk, private project, private project, just to attract more private investors. Saini gave you 2 anecdotes, I would give you one, half with Saini. I think we had a dinner in Bonn, you remember that COP where the COP was supposed to be organized in Fiji, and finally, it was in Bonn, So we were having a dinner with Saini and with another guy, And we were talking about, sort of, I think it was a French initiative that wanted to develop, a few financial mechanisms, let's say, to increase the debt of Africa, African countries, And Saini was looking at me, and I was not feeling comfortable, with this initiative. And he was saying, why you are not comfortable with? Because I said one thing. When you are facing challenges, the level of debt is resting, remains, but your GDP can fail. And of course, if everybody knows the ratio debt on GDP, in case of crisis, and we know because of the COVID what we face, then you can have your country in bankrupt, So the idea to increase the debt is just, killing the countries by anticipation, and this is something we would like to avoid. And I think that the model that you pointed out, by having, some public capital that can de-risk private capital, this is exactly what we need to do, to push private capital to invest, but in a de-risk, environment, And if we can do so, we will massively increase our financial capacity, This is just one point I wanted to mention. The second point is about Nigeria. Nigeria is a large country. But at the same time, when you have a large country, you have different geographies, you have different, let's say, climate zone, climate areas. And I have to admit that the model that was developed, by Sandra, really to make a sort of micro analysis, about what is going on, in your overarching territories, and to analyze what kind of risk you could face for your different activities in agriculture domain is key, because it's going to be very specific, And the good thing here is the specificities of Nigeria, the specificities of Djibouti, the specificities of Togo, and if I take all your specificities, if I bring them together, I will have the opportunity, let's say, to cluster those specificities, to model those specificities. And then we have a model, as you know, a model, the more that you have input in a model, let's say, the more accurate will be the model, And this is the reason why working together at 23 country level will be really a unique experience for Africa, will be a unique experience, So I wanted to point out that point, and thank you again, Saini, for this great idea to launch this program. So now, I would like to get some feedback from the room. From those 3 countries, what were the success factors? What have been the success factors, to generate this result. I would like to know, I mean, if some of you would like to bring me, how you are dealing, in your country. And not only with positive things, if you are facing some challenges, to implement those programs for governance reason, for, capacity of mobilization of people, for whatever is the reason, please raise your hand, because, we are not here to say we will help you to sort out the issue for you, but maybe we can, exchange some best practice, or to help you to get some fresh ideas about how to manage, So, anyone that would like to bring an input, an experience, a feedback? Oh, I see that the delivery partner is here, Hi, Ingo. Good to see you. Any points that you would like to raise, to bring? Oh, yeah, thank you. You can introduce yourself and then bring your input. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Patrice. Premièrement, vraiment, donc, je vous remercie pour cette initiative de réunir donc, tous ces AND pour échanger. Premièrement, c'est un échange d'expérience entre nous. Ça, c'est vraiment une bonne chose. Deuxièmement, donc, c'est une bonne chose d'orienter les populations africaines vers l'agriculture. Parce que l'avenir, c'est dans l'agriculture. L'Afrique, donc, c'est un continent qui est donc polymoyen et qui subit donc les effets pervers des changements climatiques. Donc, il faut orienter les populations africaines pour donc intéresser aux terres. J'aimerais donc parler un peu de mon pays. Moi, je suis à Bakar Mourno et je suis le point focal Fonds vers le climat. Donc, en ce qui concerne le Tchad, vous savez, le Tchad est le 5e pays africain le plus vaste. Vous savez, la situation donc, climatique du Tchad, c'est un pays spécifique parce que Tchad, c'est un pays désertique. 70% de son superficie est désert. Donc, il y a les avancées vraiment par an. Le désert donc regagne donc chaque année 3 km de terre qu'on perd en faveur de désert. Donc, en ce qui concerne donc les ressources donc en terre arable, Tchad dispose 39 millions d'hectares de terre donc arable, oui, cultivable, dont plus de 5 millions de terres d'hectares irrigables, de terres irrigables. Donc maintenant, ces terres-là sont menacées par l'avancement des déserts. Donc je vous ai dit, donc 70% de le désert, donc 70% de superficie de Tchad est occupée par le désert. Donc les populations sont concentrées sur les 30% de superficie restante. Donc il y a énormément de pression sur les ressources naturelles. Donc tout le monde veut cultiver. Donc il y a aussi les éleveurs. Donc chaque année, il y a des conflits entre les éleveurs et les agriculteurs. Donc Tchad est vraiment intéressé. C'est pour ça que Tchad est vraiment parmi les premiers pays qui sont intéressés dans cette readiness. On est vraiment intéressé. Je vois qu'il n'y a que 22 pays seulement. Moi, j'aurais souhaité, s'il y a plus de pays africains, parce que c'est l'Afrique qui gagne toujours, et c'est l'Afrique qui est toujours perdant donc, en ce qui concerne face au changement climatique. Je suis accompagné avec notre consultante nationale. En ce qui concerne donc votre projet, appel à projet, oui. Donc, j'aurais souhaité vraiment pour impliquer beaucoup plus de gens au niveau national, vous faites en avant un atelier d'information. Parce que le secteur privé, avec le ONG et tout ça, et ils sont pas donc beaucoup de fausses informations en ce qui concerne le finance climat. Donc quelque chose qui est donc un peu nouveauté. Donc peut-être si vous faisiez un atelier d'information pour informer davantage en ce qui concerne ce projet. Merci beaucoup. Je laisse.
D'accord, bonjour à tout le monde. Moi, c'est Ali Memayanga, la consultante nationale de EY sur cette Readiness. Je vais parler beaucoup plus sur l'aspect technique de ce projet. En fait, comme le monsieur Morneau l'a dit, on a déjà eu à faire le lancement du projet. On a eu la formation des 15 techniciens et on a aussi clôturé l'appel à projet le 4 décembre dernier. Actuellement, au niveau du déploiement, je suis déjà à 30 quelques projets, ce qui est très bon. Mais on a eu à reporter cet appel à projet parce que les gens n'avaient pas très bien compris le principe. Et moi, comme le point focal a demandé un atelier de renforcement de capacité expliqué au secteur privé, tout ça, je suis d'accord sur ce point. Mais du point de vue pratique, moi, le problème que j'ai eu à rencontrer, c'est l'appropriation de cette readiness par le gouvernement, en fait. L'aspect, comment on appelle, qui s'approprie le projet. On a aussi le problème d'instabilité de tout ça. Ce qui fait qu'aujourd'hui, quand on fait appel à quelqu'un, un technicien, voilà, vous êtes là. Demain, c'est quelqu'un d'autre qui est là et on perd le fil du processus. Ça aurait été bien si on avait désigné des gens bien précis, des points focaux par ministère, les ministères concernés, qui pouvaient relayer l'information au niveau du secteur privé, du secteur public. Parce que moi, je représente Ernst & Young. Je ne fais pas partie de l'administration. Du coup, je ne peux pas parler au nom de l'administration. Ce serait beaucoup plus l'AND. Lui, il vient de commencer et le système est un peu compliqué. Je ne sais pas quel est le mécanisme que Ernst & Young African Adaptation Initiative va mettre en place pour pouvoir amener les gouvernements à s'approprier ce projet-là. Parce que honnêtement, c'est une très belle initiative, mais moi j'ai l'impression au niveau de mon pays que la hiérarchie n'a pas encore compris le système.
I will start to reply because there are a lot of key points, that were raised, by this lady and this gentleman. I would like to reply. So first of all, this is true. The appropriation, the ownership of the government is key because without government it doesn't work, So I'm not surprised about what you are saying because this is something that happened in different countries, But I have to say that every time, it's not because us, and maybe, Pierre can confirm, but every time we were able to make the kickoff meeting directly, physically in the country, it was a different game, because when you are in front of people, and you are talking during one full day about what does it mean and how you will all get organized, how you can set up a steering committee with the different ministries, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, with NDA, at the center of the game, plus the Ministry of Energy because, of the role of energy in sustainable agriculture, it's a radical change, because you have a steering committee that is much more active, and you can organize every 2 months, 3 months, a sort of conference call with the steering committee, just to be sure that you have everyone on board. So I think this is something you can sort out, but you need to mobilize the Director General, of the ministries, at least agriculture, environment for sure, but environment could be represented by, by the NDA too, but also the Ministry of Energy. But once a year, you need to have a sort of meeting, where you discuss with the Ministry of Finance, you discuss with the other ministries, with the local authorities to be sure that everybody is on board. So this is the first thing. The second point, yes, I will come definitely, let's say, to Chad. We can schedule something, I didn't get the chance to come, for the kickoff meeting because it was a bad timing. But for sure, early this year, I can come to Chad and we'll make a specific workshop on how to mobilize the project holders, And the team knows exactly how to make it, and we'll do it in Chad for sure, So I will be with you, and we can maybe extend, the agenda of this meeting about the governance and about how to mobilize the different stakeholders. No, Ria will do it, for sure. The last point you mentioned is about, macroeconomic aspect. Why agriculture and why agriculture is so important. I can give you one example. I was in Sierra Leone, and in Sierra Leone, before the civil war, I don't know if somebody's here from Sierra Leone, no? Okay. Before the civil war, this country was a net exporter of rice. They were self-sufficient, for, let's say, to feed the population, okay? They were net exporter. After the civil war, 80% of food is imported, It has a dramatic, let's say, impact, on the economy, but on the population, because, of course, food cost is much higher, And also, let's say, if you are not exporting, it means that your balance of payment is unbalanced, and it means that, of course, it's not good for your growth, your national growth. Now, we have identified some rice producers. They have developed a pilot, and we have been asked 1 month ago to work on the financing of the upscaling of this pilot. The objective of the president is the president, I'm not talking about the chief of states, is behind this initiative and support us, let's say, with a 10 years plan to make again, this country a net exporter of rice. So it means that everything is possible, And because we have demonstrated that we can deliver, and now we have the highest authority of the country that is supporting, this program and the projects that can implement this program. Just as a concrete example, okay? So I think I reply. So Pierre from Guinée-Conakry.
Merci Patrice. Bon, moi je pense que nous sommes 23 pays, mais on n'a pas les mêmes réalités sur le plan géographique et sur le plan de recherche. Par exemple, moi, mon pays, la Guinée, par exemple, c'est un pays vastement riche et un pays qui est vraiment intermédiaire entre la forêt et la richesse des terres. Bon, nous avons mis en place un système qui corrobore des autres systèmes. Après le lancement le 22 novembre le 30 novembre 2022 du programme EY en Guinée, on avait déjà un autre programme de l'énergie qui avait les mêmes visions. Et au sein, on a essayé d'organiser au sein de l'AND en créant 2 comités. Il y a un comité de pilotage et un comité technique. Le comité de pilotage, nous avons pris des personnes qui ont la voix au niveau de l'administration publique, au niveau même des gouvernants. Nous les avons mis dans le comité de pilotage. Nous avons pris des directeurs généraux et directeurs nationaux des institutions fortes, par exemple les BSD, Bureau de stratégie département, des chefs des directeurs nationaux qu'on a mis dans le comité technique. Et le comité de pilotage est dirigé par le ministère de la coopération internationale, parce que c'est la rentrée des projets. Et c'est là-bas où il y a les investissements. Nous avons pris le vice-président comme étant le ministère de l'Environnement, qui est le patron de la situation. Nous avons pris un deuxième vice-président qui est le ministère de l'économie et des finances, dont le secrétaire général. Ceux-ci sont des secrétaires généraux. Le ministère de l'Agriculture est le 3e vice-président, qui est le rapporteur. Dans le reste, il y avait les chefs cabinets, de sorte que quand il y a eu le lancement de ces projets, nous avons le gouvernement même, c'était même le comité de pilotage qui est presque le gouvernement, parce que les secrétaires généraux viennent directement après les ministres. C'est même qui ont décidé que tout projet très prochainement qui est introduit au niveau du gouvernement doit être discuté dans ce comité. Donc ça a été vraiment pour nous un atout. Donc, lorsque on a reçu les appels à projets, on ne comprenait pas, parce que les appels à projets sont venus, il n'y avait pas un document qui expliquait. Les gens ne comprenaient pas. Quand on a lancé, les gens ne comprenaient pas du tout. Il a fallu que nous écrivions encore à EY pour qu'il y avait un document qui accompagnait, qui venait. Donc ça a pris l'assentiment de ce comité de pilotage, ça a fait l'objet d'une réunion et même d'une sensibilisation. Et au niveau des communautés, nous avons même envoyé des gens, parce qu'on a déjà des institutions à l'intérieur, on travaille en collaboration avec les institutions à l'intérieur. Donc les porteurs de projets ont été sensibilisés et même formés par rapport à ces montages de projets. Ils ont compris. Et maintenant, quand ces projets ont été remontés, le comité de pilotage a fait passer le comité technique à l'intérieur duquel il y a des commissions, commission agriculture, commission énergie, commission ainsi de suite. Donc, chaque commission travaillait sur une thématique qui concernait, et puis ça a fait remonter au niveau du comité de pilotage. Aujourd'hui, c'est le comité de pilotage qui coordonne. Nous attendons seulement que le nombre de projets qu'on a envoyés, que EY nous dise, voilà, parce qu'on ne sait pas encore, tous les jours qu'il fait, j'ai au moins plus de 20 appels pour dire c'est comment le projet qu'on a envoyé. Est-ce que nous sommes retenus? Donc, voilà ces petites questions qui nous gênent à répondre aux porteurs de projets que vous devez essayer de voir. Moi, un autre problème, du côté de l'énergie, par exemple, on dit énergie et choses, il faut une sensibilisation parce que moi, le ministre de l'énergie est là. Il m'avait demandé, je veux voir EY. Qu'est-ce que vous appelez agriculture, énergie? Agriculture dans l'énergie, l'énergie dans l'agriculture. Moi, je veux comprendre ça. Donc, pour eux, quand on parle de l'énergie, dans nos pays où il n'y a pas de courant, dès que vous parlez de l'énergie dans l'agriculture, si vous ne studiez pas, ils vont penser que c'est des barrages. Donc, on avait ces petites difficultés. Et je crois qu'aujourd'hui, il faut que je demande à ce que EY soit explicite et qui nous permette d'aller vers les communautés pour les expliquer et faciliter. Parce qu'on attend aujourd'hui. Quand moi, je vais rentrer là, vous me dites c'est comment là-bas. Est-ce que nos projets sont financés? Donc, il faut essayer de voir, d'accélérer dans les meilleurs délais pour que nous soyons crédibles sur le terrain par rapport à ce qu'on a lancé. Sinon, on ne sera pas crédible si rien n'est fait dans 1 mois ou 2 mois. C'est un appel que je vous lance. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. No worries. It was great to get you. I would like to visit you too. Thank you so much. We can thank you, Michael. You know that was with us for a couple of. Okay, so I will try to reply you. First of all, thank you because this is very important. We are here to support, the NDA, but we cannot replace the NDA. So it's very important that the NDA, with let's say the steering committee and all this governance of the project, can follow each action, and mobilize the right organization, the right ministries, the right administration to unlock, a situation that could be, let's say, frozen, And this is exactly what you did, and this is great. First point. Second point, the selection of the project is not us, it's you. So it means it's you. It's not EY to decide about the selection of the project, because at the end of the day, the selection of projects should come from the country, What we will be doing, we will analyze what are the key indicators, to select the project. We'll make a ranking, and based on this ranking, we will visit you, and we will organize a working session with all stakeholders, and we will review this ranking. And at the end of the day, let's say the steering committee will decide which projects will be funded. And it's not EY that will decide or anybody else. It can be only a decision from the country itself, So our job is to bring a technical skill, let's say, to help you to identify which project could match with your expectation based on the key priority indicators, and then you will decide the final project you would like to get, for the financing. Okay, this is the project. And for your Minister of Energy, I will be delighted to meet him and to organize a meeting. I can catch up, easily catch up, no worry. Any reaction about what has been said now from the room? We'd like to bring your testimony.
Thank you. Yes, me too. I have this concern in mind to recommend to EY in terms of reflection how you can support NDAs to more communicate around the initiative to facilitate the ownership, because we have to enhance not only the capacity of communities, but the ownership of the initiative. As he highlights, there is this issue of understanding on how to use energy in the agriculture sector. And if we can explain, we don't explain, people can more understand where we are going. So how can you help us to more communicate and help the ownership of the initiative before go to the second step.
No, thank you. This is very key, what we are saying now, because I know that you are fighting. You are really engaging all your energy, let's say, to drive the implementation of this program, you know. But I know that it's not easy, because first of all, the government has different, let's say, different project, different agenda, let's say, and we are not necessarily, you know, on the top of this agenda. So this is true, and this is something we need to think about, you know, together, how we can better flag, you know, this initiative, just to be sure that at the end of the day, 1 or 2 ministers will get this ownership and will drive the implementation, because they will consider, is going to be my success or is going to be my failure, you know. It will never be the failure of the minister, believe me, but at least we can convince them that it's going to be the success of this minister, you know. So let me think about that. But every time we are traveling and being in your country, all of you can, you know, confirm what I'm saying. It's always, let's say, a great mobilization of everyone, even at ministerial level. And it's a good way to communicate, because some journalists are here, we are making some TV interviews, you know, and it's a good way to promote what we are doing. So probably this is the right way to do. The organization of the final meeting, where it's going to be a large meeting at ministerial level, could be the very good opportunity, you know, to have this ownership and to prepare the next phase. Otherwise, they will consider why we should keep going in something that is not visible. And this is, I guess, your issue. So before, I will give you the floor, but before, I know that Ambassador Seninafo will have to leave this room because he has a different agenda. So I would like to thank him, but I think he would like to give you a message, you know. So, Seni.
Thank you, Patrice, and thank you, everyone. As I said, I was once an NDA, so I was once an NDA, and I look around at the room, I think I pretty much know the individual challenges in most of your countries. I've worked in most of your countries, my countries, at all kinds of levels. So mine is to say, you have my WhatsApp. If you don't have my WhatsApp, you'll get my WhatsApp. Let's see what we can do at very specific individual level. Now, at the initiative level, we've had in Lome a forum, I think a forum of the first one a few months ago, of all the NDAs. We will bring, what I promise you is that every year we will bring all of you together. That will do. So we'll have a second forum next year, and we're already thinking about what's next and how to support you. But on individual level, let's have that conversation. I will try to visit more countries. I used to be in Jamena quite often. I haven't been able to be. I used to be also in Conakry quite a lot. But I have to find the time to, it's not even about time, but we'll find a way. We'll find a way to do that. But in the meantime, I'm always available. We all work through Teams, so I'll be, you know, if there needs to be an opportunity to present this through a virtual meeting to higher levels, I am more than happy. That is easy. And for those who need to see me, let's meet before COP ends. COP is not gonna, we still have a few days. But thank you, I'm running to another meeting. Is that what we all do here? We keep running around, but.
Seni, before you leave, I would like to take a family picture. It will make a bit some, you know, distortion, but I mean, it's okay. Let's take a family picture because I would like to froze, let's say, this
yes, let's do
Kodak
that.
instant. Let's take a picture all together. Come on. I think it's a good idea, not to take a picture. You have to leave? No. Okay, but let's take a picture together first. Come here to make a picture. Please. I would like to make a family picture.
Sandra, tu vas bien? Ça va.
Can you, if you can sit down, please. Can you sit down, but we go back to work? Thank you, Seni. See you soon. Let's go back to work, please. Please, can you sit down? I would like everyone to be down, to be back to work, because we have a strong agenda, please. Please, can you sit down? Ouais. Seni, on se parle. Okay, so let's back to work. So I think I have a testimony here, you know, that somebody would like to say something. Thank you, Mrs. Ya.
Thank you very much. I am Mr. Isaac. I am DRCNDA. So allow me to come back to the selection process, as
Yes.
Our friend from Guinea Olom was talking about. This is very important because we get some concerns along the process.
Please, can you listen, please? Yeah.
Along the process,
Yes.
where some of the people were reluctant to provide the projects because they were thinking that we are trying to steal the ideas.
Ah, really?
Yes. Now, when it's taking too long, then there is a kind of confirmation from their side that actually we are trying to steal their projects. So that's why it will be very important to speed up the process.
For the selection, you mean?
Yeah, selection process. Yeah, you just said, well, it's the countries which must select, but also the leadership is on your side. Since the leadership is on your side, the dates and other process about the final selection is not with us, it's with you. That's why I suggest that you take your leadership to speed up the process.
Okay, so I would like to tell you something. No, I pick up the point. So what I would suggest is the following.
And also, before you finish, I'm sorry.
Go.
I was trying to discuss this project with some people from GCF. So, and we were talking about the amount. It's true that the minimum was $1 million. Is there the maximum or that cannot be hit or something like that?
There is no ceiling.
There is no ceiling.
There is no ceiling.
So,
but you know, there is no ceiling, but we are in a pilot phase. You know how does it work? If you will start a project with will be $500 million, you know, that could be risky, it's not easy to get the funding, you know. If you start a project that is reasonable, because it's a pilot, and we can demonstrate that it works, you know, and then we can easily upscale and go to 500 million, you know. So this is my advice, you know. Okay, so I pick up the point. So what I can tell you here, your contact at EY, you know, at central level, you know, will get in touch with you, you know, next week, tomorrow. We'll fly back to Paris this evening, you know, and they will contact you to find, you know, a date where we can organize this selection committee session, you know. And And the idea will be to, let's say, first of all, to bring everyone together based on the first assessment we'll be doing, and then collectively you will decide, who you would like to select. But you're right, ownership is on our side, at least leadership, and we'll propose you a date, to fix it in the agenda, and we can prepare you a text that you can share with your project proposal, and so it will help them to understand what is the process and when the decision will be made. Okay? Thank you so much for your testimony. Additional comment? Yes, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm called Wani Nelson from South Sudan. I'm not the NDA, but I'm just sitting here to represent the NDA. I think most of the comments were in French. I did not understand. I apologize in case I'm just repeating the same thing. But just I wanted to stress back to how the project started from the design. I think the approach that was used in designing this regional project was a bit complex. That's why we also have this same issue of the ownership, echoing to what was said by Mali. So ownership of the project has become a problem. Because we have many projects that are multi-country or regional, where the consultants at the project design stage, they would come to the countries and they talk to the stakeholders, like the ministry that you mentioned, so that people know exactly what is due. And the government will know what is its role. What will the government contribute even in the project? That's why now there is a problem in coordinating, bringing the stakeholders together. In South Sudan, the stakeholder engagement process has become so difficult because people are asking a lot of questions. What is all this project about? How will the government benefit from this project? What will the different ministry get from this? So those are the issues. And like for us in South Sudan, we also have that gap in coordination with the EY. We launched ours in April, our project, but we have not moved further. And it was also launched virtually. The EY team was not in the country, and from there, that's how things are not moving quite in a right direction, which is really a concern to us. And the 1 year that is given for this implementing this project will end any time when we have not done anything. So these are some concerns that we want to raise up. And now coming to, we have not yet submitted a list of projects for selection. I just have a question. What will be the approach in designing those pilot projects so that there will be ownership by the country? Is it the same approach that is going to be used for the readiness, or a different approach will be used in designing those projects so that there is ownership by the country? Thank you.
No, thank you so much. So I would like to say something about South Sudan. First of all, we started late, but to speak frankly, not because of EY, but because at that time, the NDA was not responsive, to speak frankly. It took a while to get a feedback from South Sudan. Really, I'm very honest when I'm saying that. This is the first thing. The second thing, what is absolutely true, because we started very late, and in some countries we started late, but we went fast because we used the lesson learned from the other country, to go faster, So I'm not worried about, our capacity to go faster in South Sudan, but it's true that as EY, we didn't make, the kickoff meeting, where we can bring all stakeholders together. And maybe this is the reason why there is an issue of ownership, So let's have a bilateral conversation, let's say, to see how we can mobilize, and how we can help you, in creating, this momentum, in your country, for this program. The third point is about, you didn't receive your IT. This is what I pick up. Yes. So the delivery partner was as you know, we have EY France that is implementing, and EY Germany is as a delivery partner providing, the equipment and making the role of fiduciary, So he was here. He's here. Okay. So maybe Ingo represents, let's say, EY Germany and as a delivery partner. So, I mean, more or less, I don't think that we have so many, let's say, problems in a lot of countries. I mean, we have a problem here in South Sudan. I had a conversation yesterday with Mali, more the same issue. I think you are sorting out the issue, I guess, no? You want to say something about that? No? It's ongoing. It's ongoing. Okay. Okay, very good. So it happens sometimes. Believe me, the issue with EY, it's because, as you know, we are very compliance-oriented. So it means that we have some very tough procedures to be sure that, you know, we are complying with our own internal rules. And this is the reason why, by the way, the GCF has decided to select EY. Let's say the counter effect of that is sometimes, you know, it's in some countries it takes additional time, you know. But I can tell you that on 23 countries we managed successfully everything, you know, in more than 20 countries, you know. And it was not easy. Sometimes it took a while, but it was not easy. But you will get, you know, everything. So, but Ingo is here, and he takes notes of that, you know, for sure. Okay. Very good. But last point I wanted to say is we need to visit South Sudan, you know, and to help you. And for the project, there is a document that mention, you know, what kind of project, what kind of profile, what is expected, what is the objective, and so on. As I told you, phase 2 is dedicated to the financing of the project. What is expected here is not something that like a very complex concept note. It's just a short concept note that details, you know, bring some details about the project, you know, that's it. And as EY will support you to draft, you know, of course, in phase 2, let's say the full concept note to be submitted, not only, by the way, to the GCF, but we would like to go for private funding too, because we do believe that, you know, GCF sometimes is great. I don't know if someone from the GCF is here. We were supposed to have somebody from the GCF, not here. But sometimes we know that the GCF is slow and it could be long-lasting, you know. So because of that, you know, we would like, if it's possible, we'd like to go straight forward to the capital market and to raise money to finance the project, you know. This is exactly what we are doing in Sierra Leone, for example, you know. So thank you for your testimony. Is there any additional, so here is South Sudan, Ingo. Is there any additional question, remark you would like to make? This is exactly the right timing to do it. Yes. Where is the mic? Oh, thank you for your help. Thank you.
Merci. Puisque maintenant on rentre dans la phase de sélection des projets, ce qu'on aimerait, c'est que surtout EY nous aide à mettre en place des critères de sélection pour que lorsqu'on va sélectionner les projets, tout le monde ne se sente pas lésé, que tout le monde sache qu'on a appliqué des critères objectifs et qui permettront par la suite de soumettre le projet au Fonds vert pour le climat. Donc mettre en place des critères de sélection est très important.
Non, merci infiniment. C'est exactement ce qui est prévu. En fait, ce qu'on va faire, c'est que nous, on a une liste de critères qu'on a identifiés. Vous n'êtes pas obligé de tous les appliquer. Je vous prends un exemple. Dans les critères, il peut y avoir, par exemple, un projet peut-être urgent à implémenter. Vous voulez l'implémenter dans les 3 prochains mois ou dans les 6 prochains mois. Pourquoi? Parce que c'est urgent pour le gouvernement. C'est une priorité. Ce n'est pas forcément le même critère qui va être dans un autre pays où on va dire non, nous, ce qui nous intéresse, ce n'est pas de faire des petits projets tout de suite, mais c'est de construire un grand projet structurant pour les 5 ans qui viennent. Vous voyez? Donc il peut y avoir différentes priorités dans chacun des pays. Donc nous, on a déterminé une liste d'indicateurs qui vont permettre la sélection. Mais les indicateurs, une fois qu'ils seront sélectionnés, nous, on fera très vite l'évaluation et le classement des projets selon ces indicateurs-là. Et ces indicateurs seront totalement transparents vis-à-vis des porteurs de projets pour qu'ils n'aient pas l'impression qu'on essaye de leur voler leurs idées. Et deuxième élément, pour qu'ils n'aient pas l'impression que les jeux étaient faits d'avance et qu'on va pousser les projets qu'on a envie de pousser. C'est pas comme ça que ça marche. Donc nous, on va apporter une lecture scientifique, on va dire technique des choses. Après, si un ministre dit... Moi, ce projet, on prend les 10 premiers, ce projet, il est classé numéro 14, mais j'y tiens parce que c'est une priorité pour mon gouvernement, alors c'est la décision du pays. Hein. Il ne faut pas que la technique empêche la politique, si vous voulez, de s'exprimer. On est dans un projet où les gouvernements sont souverains, ils prennent leurs décisions en connaissance de cause. D'accord? Donc oui, bien entendu, et Lucille, pour vous, Younes plutôt, Lucille, oui, va être sur... on va voir ça ensemble. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres commentaires? Pierre Lema pour Guinée-Conakry.
Effectivement, moi, je vais sur la langue de monsieur de Sauge. J'ai un petit problème par rapport à l'enveloppe financière qui a été annoncée sur le projet. On a dit 1 million. Monter un projet de 1 million de dollars.
Non, c'est minimum 1 million.
Oui, ça minimum, oui, minimum. Ça veut dire qu'on peut aller au-delà.
Bien sûr.
Mais ce qui est difficile pour certains, aujourd'hui en Afrique, de monter un projet de 1 million, ce n'est pas facile si ce n'est pas accompagné par des experts. Donc, ces projets, moi, à mon niveau, il m'a été demandé de remonter ces projets. Ça a été remonté par mon consultant. À quel niveau nous sommes maintenant là? À quel niveau se trouvent ces projets au niveau de UI?
C'est clair, c'est clair. Donc, en fait, ce qui s'est passé, si vous voulez, c'est que on a lancé les appels, vous avez lancé les appels à projets avec notre soutien, et les appels à projets, selon les pays, ont été plus ou moins fructueux. C'est-à-dire qu'il y a des pays où on a été très très vite, on a réuni, tout à l'heure le Togo lui disait, plus d'une quarantaine de projets, donc on a fermé les appels à projets, bien sûr. Et dans un certain nombre d'autres pays, on les a un peu étendus au contraire parce qu'on n'avait pas assez de projets. Selon le cas, on a joué. Donc nous, notre rôle à nous ici, ça a été de déterminer la liste des indicateurs qu'on allait vous proposer. Sur cette base-là, vous allez les confirmer. Encore une fois, on va vous proposer une liste d'un certain nombre d'indicateurs et vous allez dire ceux-là on les prend, celui-là on le prend, celui-là on n'en veut pas parce que c'est pas important pour nous et tout. Et sur cette base-là, nous, en une petite semaine à peu près, on va faire ce qu'on appelle la présélection, le ranking des projets, d'accord? Et là, on va revenir vers vous et on va organiser cette fameuse session de travail où on présentera nos travaux, la raison pour d'abord les indicateurs, la méthodologie, ensuite le classement, et il y aura une discussion avec toutes les parties prenantes pour savoir les projets que vous allez sélectionner. Moi, ce que je suggère, je dis ça devant l'équipe puisque c'est eux qui vont organiser ça, c'est que dès demain, on commence à regarder les agendas parce que pour se déplacer, ça prend toujours un peu de temps. Il y a les visas. Hein, il n'y a pas longtemps, j'ai demandé un visa pour aller au Cameroun. Pas au Cameroun, pardon. En Guinée équatoriale, il y a 3 semaines, je l'ai toujours pas reçu. J'ai toujours pas reçu. Alors que j'ai payé déjà, hein, donc toujours pas reçu. Bon, toujours pour dire qu'il faut gérer les questions des visas. Et donc, il faut s'y prendre maintenant si on veut fixer la date et être prêt pour pouvoir venir vous voir. Hein. Donc, l'équipe l'entend et donc, ils vont faire ça à partir de demain. Hein. C'est comme ça qu'on va organiser les choses. Monsieur, il y a un commentaire ici.
Thank you so much. My name is Morgan from
Morgan.
Zambia. From Zambia.
Zambia, yes.
Yes. I'm not from India. I'm a local consultant. From Zambia. So I just wanted to find out if there are some lessons or the countries that are ahead and what are some of the lessons that we can learn from these countries that are a bit ahead so that it will be easier to infuse that in the programming at our national levels. From the 23 countries, which countries are ahead in the programming?
You mean what are the countries that are part of this? What are the 23 countries?
Yeah, from the 23 countries, do we have those that are a bit ahead and those, maybe not those who are behind, but those who are on top of the programs, like, okay, they are moving faster and...
You mean the best performers and the ones that are a bit behind, exactly. You know, this is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay, so maybe we can... it's not the only indicator, you know, because Sandra has another indicator, you know, because she did some trainings, you know, for this modeling tool. And how many countries have you already visited, Sandra? 10. So one indicator is the 10 countries that have been already get, you know, this training session, the first training session, you know, from SSA about this modeling tool. And but we can show you maybe the next slide. It's about the project, because we were talking about the project. Here you can see in green the countries that have already completed, the identification of the project, and the ones that are in progress, and the ones that are far behind. So it's a good indicator about how our countries are well advanced or a bit behind the agenda. Okay. But I will not talk about that right now. I would like to give the floor to Sandra, because Sandra will present you more or less the status, where do we stand, and this modeling tool, but yeah. Sandra, if you agree, floor is yours.
Thank you, Patrice, and thanks to all the national designated authorities that have been working hard with us for the implementation of these important projects. At SSA, it's a real honor to be able to work with you. We have started a journey together, and we really hope that this journey will lead us to increase access to GCF resources. And from the GCF, whoever can do a GCF proposal can do adaptation fund proposal, can do JEF proposal. So our idea is really to show you what are some of the critical points, especially the analytics work that is needed to support the GCF proposal development, especially when it comes to establishing climate rationale, the scientific evidence that your project is really addressing climate change. So next week, the team will be in Sierra Leone, and that will be the 10th country to host the first series of those meetings. I will be happy to hear from some country here that have already organized this training to share their experience. But the idea is really to start from the understanding of the climate, the future of the climate. We know there are global models that are always developed to show where globally the climate is going. But what we have done in this case is to understand that in the context of your specific country. So that's the climate assessment, the climate analysis. Once we understand it, then we want to see how does it impact how does it impact? Here our interest is on the crops. And we have selected 2 crops. Each country has been invited to provide the selection of the critical crops, and we use a specific model, the DESAT model, to do the assessment, understanding how this will impact those 2 crops, and have a proxy to identify if these are your 2 critical crops, how does it affect your overall agriculture outputs and its outputs later in your national product through the GDP. So the last day of the training, you have the intervention online from one of our colleagues from the economic teams that were doing this assessment. How do we reflect now the impact on the crops into an overall economical model? And part 2, actually, of the training is supposed to focus on this aspect of the analysis. So you will be having the economic teams in your country, while agro and climate team will be remotely to assess how you have progressed with that. What we have done as part of this project is to conduct the analysis one by one. We didn't plan as part of this program to have a tool, but I'm happy to report to you as I'm speaking that AAI has provided us with additional resources that can take us from this analysis to a tool next year. You have to understand developing something, a tool like this will take time, because it's going to be using machine learning techniques. You can develop a tool. We hope to have a basic tool. It's going to be a minimum viable product by end of next year. But for the tools to be accurate, it needs to be trained. And this can take years with data and form it, et cetera, et cetera. So we will be progressing in that direction. But it's my pleasure to report that we will be able to start also working on the tool, building upon the work we will be doing this year and early next year on the individual assessment in your different countries. Also, what we'll be expanding is opportunity to add crops as the year passed by, because we know some of you wanted to consider more crops, but again, we needed to scope the project, right? We focus on 2 right now, but over the years, we will be able to add additional tools and increase the capacity of the model to understand how climate change will impact those crops within the specific context of our different countries. So that will be my update from now, but I will be more than happy to hear from some of you, Madagascar, DRC, Zambia, Nigeria, some of you that have the opportunity to conduct the training, to share with us your experience with our team. Thanks.
I think we can have big hands for this great lady, because it's not news that she is now working, on climate and adaptation, and she's one of the pillars, in Africa of adaptation. So thank you, Sandra, to be with us. We have exchanged some best practice. I pick up your doléances, meaning your expectations. We need to accelerate. The official deadline of the program is April, correct? We got an extension in April. It's not a long time. For a lot of countries, it's going to be easy to finalize for April. But for some countries, it's still a piece of work to do. So what I will ask the team to do now is really with Sandra, because we should be totally coordinated, and especially if we can make some back-to-back meetings, we come, we make a meeting, the day after we make another meeting. I'm thinking now about the 7 wave of trainings, Maybe we can make the first training one day, the selection of the project the day after, and maybe, the final meetings the day after, when we can bring everyone together. I don't know if it's feasible, but if we would like to optimize our energy, our time, and our money, this is maybe something we can do. But I will ask the team now to have a tight agenda starting early January. Maybe I will visit some countries, before the end of the year, because I know that I need to go in some countries, But for sure, we will succeed or we'll fail if we can smartly manage, the next month, the forthcoming 4 months, January, February, March, April, We need to succeed or we will fail if we do not manage well, those 4 months. So somebody proposed me something that I loved earlier. Why we should not have a WhatsApp, a community WhatsApp, together. As I work for the Basin of Congo, and I'm organized, something very complex with huge number of countries and people. The thing that was helping to work together, it was to have a common WhatsApp, and the community could communicate together, through this WhatsApp. If somebody has some challenges, of course, we have some discipline, it's not just to say, oh, yesterday we had a nice dinner. This is not, let's say, the purpose of this kind of stuff. But at least, if we can use the same tool and we are all connected, we can react and we can be much more effective. So I will ask the team and, just to create, this WhatsApp that can bring together the NDA plus, let's say, the national consultant, that we have provided you, plus the team, And we can include the DP too, so the DP can definitely be involved, in the follow-up of what is happening, So let's start. We should have started, that process. But of course, Sandra and, all team, from SSA, EY and SSA are fully, it's a fusion, let's say. So there is no question mark about that. So, but let's create, next week this WhatsApp together. So, and then I think we can be much more reactive together and much more effective, okay? This is one thing we can do. The second thing is we need to schedule before the end of the year, meaning as soon as we are back from the COP. I would like really for the 122, maybe 23 countries. If so, oh, by the way, sorry, I open a window. I need your help. I have two challenges, Niger, Sudan. If someone can help me or can help us to manage Niger was on board. We did the kickoff meeting. It was always good. And for unexpected reason, I have no clue about, now communication is broken. So, I mean, if someone can help me with Niger, I will be more than happy. I don't know who can help, but I will be more than happy. The second country is Sudan. Sudan is a very specific situation. But my colleague from Togo, said earlier that she will help because she has a connection with Sudan and she will try to help, So thanks to her. But again, if somebody can help me, for those two countries, it will help us to finalize, what we are doing in those countries, At least maybe we can get an extension for those countries, Okay, so what I wanted to say is really for the end of this year, I would like really to have a clear agenda, a clear schedule, for all of you. What we'll be doing before the end of April, just to finalize everything. So I will ask the team, and we'll work with the team tomorrow on Monday, country per country, to see where do we stand and how we can achieve, our work, for April. Okay. So please be responsive. Sometimes, I know. Sometimes you have no electricity, no internet. I know how does it work. I'm not blaming anyone, But please, if you can be very responsive, it will be very helpful. And also WhatsApp can help a lot, because, I know how does it work, in Africa. Everybody is WhatsApping, and this is how does it work, So let's do it in this way. Let's work in your way, not in our way, and then maybe we'll be much more effective. So I don't know if someone would like to say something, because now it's 2 hours we are together. But I will be happy to give you the floor, but I think the COP is very hectic, so you have a complex agenda. But someone would like to raise their hand and to say something? So it means that we cover the agenda. I warmly thank you for your participation. For us, it was key to have you here. It was key to hear about your concern or what you could expect from us. And it was very important for us to give you some information about the next steps. I think we are aligned, and I would like really to succeed, because today what we are doing is really the preliminary work. The real work will be to finance your agriculture. This is what we want to do. And this is something I would like, as I told you, please, last point. If you have in your pipeline of projects, 1 or 2 projects that are easy to implement, quick to implement, let me know. We can start, as EY, we are not obliged to wait for the next step. If we decide to go because we do believe that we can get a funding, we will do it. So please provide me, provide the team, your project. We'll check, of course, with Sandra, with the tool, if this project is tackling, the climate impact that the modeling, will point out. But if it is a case, let's go for the financing immediately. I cannot do it for 10, but for 1 and 2 or 2, I can do it, okay? So let's make the ball rolling, and just to show the GCF that we are not waiting for phase 2, but we'll start right now, okay? Thank you to all. Thank you so much. And see you soon.